feared through Killarney. Now I'm back to hitching with the wind. But if Mickey Flynn should ever find me, I'll throw me caution all behind me and square off on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me Sunday through and through, danced a jig over my unconscious frame. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky son, still happy life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and lame.
We are back with another episode of the TJ is One of Us podcast. I have Shane and Andrew on the line with me today, and we have quite the slate of games to go through. And after our last dark show with just me and Andrew, I'm happy to report that there are a lot of good things to talk about here. It's going to be a bit of a roller coaster ride because things got worse before they got better with the Sixers, but let's get into it. Shane, Andrew, how you guys doing?
Pretty good.
I'm good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just kind of threw you guys in there together and just
That's
made
right.
a game of chicken to see who'd speak up first.
We're on your time zone. It's not like
Yeah.
you're the one who's wide awake.
Yeah, that's true. We are recording this on Wednesday night, so the guys were nice enough to hop on a little bit later, so I appreciate that. It's been a crazy last couple of days for me over here, entertaining a vendor who came in kind of unannounced from Dubai and demanded to take me and a couple coworkers out to dinner last night. So I sat there and attempted to follow along with the Clippers game, and wouldn't you know it, they were not big fans of me just looking at my phone talking about basketball the whole time. So, so when we get into the Clippers game a little bit later, I'm going to be, dependent on you guys to carry the conversation here. But as the listeners know, I'm sure they even prefer your conversations together. So we will head that way, later on. But let's start with the things getting worse before they get better with this Bucks game we had last week. Andrew and I had talked about how worried we were about Sixers playing at Milwaukee, and our fears were confirmed. I mean, the Sixers didn't look terrible; they didn't look good, and we got just dominated all night. Giannis had a career night. He had was it like 36 points? Like, I'll pull up the stats here, but it was
boards. I think 8. I want to say like 8 assists, 9 assists, something like that.
Yeah. 6 dimes, 20 boards, 30 points, or 36 points, plus 18 overall. I mean, on top of that, he just made Embiid look like a fool the entire night, which is kind of what I had the biggest problem with. Andrew, would you say our fears were confirmed in that game, or how did you feel about it?
Absolutely. I thought it was exactly what we kind of broke down in the last one. Was they kind of started strong, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, it's just another game, and we're just here to play, cashing our checks and stuff, and not really worry about the outcome of the game. And like you said, he made Embiid look bad at times, and I mean, Embiid doesn't even have a good game. He goes 6 for 26, and it's something we talked about. The problem with the team in general is, I mean, Horford and Embiid combined for 20 plus 3-pointers in that game. So yeah, it was just everything we worried about. It was kind of more just they're out there to play rather than play as a team and actually find a way to pull out the win. So yeah, I think it was confirmed. And again, another double-digit loss. So just another mess.
Yeah, it is amazing how good the Sixers can look for a half, or just get you thinking that they're going to be back in it again, and then just fall apart. They just fell apart again in the third quarter. And to be honest, the 11-point score doesn't reflect how dominant the Bucks looked in the second half. Something that made me feel a little better tonight, because the Bucks did lose to the Pacers tonight, but the Bucks now, after they scored, I think it was 111 points or 101 points tonight or something, they've scored over 100 points in 78 straight games. So the one thing I took solace in is not only are the Bucks beating everyone, not only are they destroying everyone, they're just scoring at a record level, which is crazy to think about. 78 games in a row is ridiculous. Like they're almost to the point where, like, in a full NBA season, they're scoring over 100 points every night, which is the craziest number I've ever heard. They don't take a night off like the Sixers tend to. Shane, what do you think about this game?
I think what you said is 100% correct. The 11-point differential really doesn't tell the story. It was a night where it's clear where Giannis is in his kind of progression to superstardom compared to what Philadelphia's stars are. This is a kind of a performance that, I mean, you called it a career performance, but I feel like this is like a once a week performance for him. Like maybe not to the magnitude of 20 boards and 36 points, but 30 and 15. With 6, 7, 8 assists in there, a couple blocks and steals. Like he's a complete player, or for the most part a complete player. And people know my feelings towards Giannis. I'm not a huge fan of him, but like. It frustrates me to see that level and that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are so far away from capable of doing that at their will. Like they have to try so fucking hard on the offensive end to have those kind of numbers. It's just, and everything just looks easy for Giannis. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to bring up, that there's a constant comparison between Embiid and Giannis. It's impossible not to. And Ben Simmons has kind of stepped into the same conversation this year. Like they're all just under a microscope, and it looks like Giannis doesn't care. He just goes out there and puts up his 30 points every single night, dominates. And I mean, he historically doesn't play that great against the Sixers. That's why I think this is extremely concerning. I mean, he's not going anywhere seemingly. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, but I don't anticipate him leaving Milwaukee. I mean, it seems like they're going to do everything in their power to keep him there, and they're the best team in the East, so I don't see why he would leave. So we need to find a way to make sure that he doesn't just go out there and embarrass us like this, because to me, that's the biggest issue with it is not only did he beat us, fine, we can take a loss. It happens once in a while. We're terrible on the road anyway. We all know that. You can't get embarrassed, though. I mean, I'm tired of being the laughing stock of the league, and this game really just I can't tell you how many people in work stopped over at my desk that next day and just tried to spin their Embiid trade theory or whatever crazy thing they were trying to give to me. And I give no one any time of day with it. I just kind of put my headphones in and put my head down because I couldn't say anything. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, man. Sorry, my phone is blowing up with a bunch of nonsense right now. But like I said, this team was essentially built to beat the Bucks. Like I feel like we entered this season and kind of entered this window of time, this 3-4 years, because I agree, Giannis is staying in Milwaukee. And what they're building over there is legitimate. It fits his game. As indicated by 7. That's insane, by the way. I literally Googled it after you said it just to make sure that you weren't lying. Turns out you're right. But yeah, 78 fucking games over 100 points for them. It's crazy.
The craziest stat no one's talking about. Like, it was just casually thrown up on the bottom on ESPN today, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? How is this the first time I'm hearing about this? Like,
I guess it's because you got games like the freaking Heat putting up 137 against like the dominant Sixers defense, which is a joke. I guess it just kind of gets overlooked in today's NBA. With the emergence of the 3-point shot, there are so many more higher scoring games and teams. But yeah, to do it 78 nights in a row is absolutely wild. But we were essentially constructed in a way that we would compete with our only true competition, knowing Kawhi was leaving Toronto in Milwaukee, and it's not working. Like you're right. I will say, like, this is kind of the outlier for Giannis against Philadelphia. So like, there's kind of that, he's going to have his day. But man, like, don't let him get hot. And like, he got hot, and I'm terrified to play him next time. Like, I think at this point he's figured us out. He's just that good.
Yeah, and I think the big thing with that game was like you said, like they built the team to beat the Bucks, but as you mentioned before, they don't play the game to the way they're built. And like that's the most like it's the weirdest thing is like you build a team to kind of like Brett Brown coming in the season. He mentions they're gonna play bully ball, basketball, like defensively and offensively and stuff. And this game, you throw up 45 3-pointers. You go 57% from the foul line. So it's like you did everything not the way you were built, and you gave up 112 points. Which I mean, I know again the stats unbelievable, but you give up 30 points in 2 different quarters, which goes against your whole thing about going in, playing defense and stuff. And it's just a very odd point in the season, and I think that's the most frustrating and concerning thing. I think is when you see this type of game against the Bucks.
You guys ever get like watching this team? Like I genuinely feel like the comments were made, entering into the year, we're gonna play bully ball, and like in the beginning, like it worked. Like people didn't really quite figure it out yet, and we were playing incredibly well and just cohesive basketball, as a collective unit. But like, just like your junior high bullies and high school bullies, like eventually some jackass hits them with a lunchbox, and you're like, oh, they're not that bad. Like some 3-foot just knocked that kid out with a lunch pail. Like I feel like everyone is just fucking knocking the Sixers out with a lunch pail right now. It's ridiculous. Like they figured us out. We're not that bad. We're not that big, and we're fucking soft, man. Like it is maddening.
Yeah, that is one thing Giannis is not, is soft, and the rest of the Bucks are not soft at all. They play about as hard as humanly possible, and they fucking score the basketball. I mean, no doubt about it. The East runs through Milwaukee, and at this stage in the game, I don't think the Sixers are beating Milwaukee at home. I don't see it happening, and to be fair, I don't think anyone's beating Milwaukee at home. I mean, I just don't see a way it gets done. They're so dominant. They have a chance I mean, granted, it's a long stretch because they've already lost 7 games, I think it is, but they have a chance to tie the Warriors record or whatever for the best record in the season. And, I mean, the fact that we can have that conversation is kind of ridiculous about them, and they're just flying under the radar in the NBA. No one's giving them their time of day because they're so dominant. Like, I don't know. They're playing incredible, and the Sixers could not have found them at a worse time in the schedule, because that led to all of the locker room drama that had already started up, but, it seemed to just kind of hit ahead, and Embiid was, looking like someone had stolen his lunch money, to stick with this bully, kind of metaphor here. And, everyone kind of faced the media and addressed the problems. Al Horford's been under the microscope quite a bit, and Sixers Twitter has been relentless with him, and rightfully so. I mean, he is not playing well, but to his credit, we're asking him to do things that he's not suited to do, and it's kind of not his job. Like, we need to figure out a way to incorporate him correctly into the offense. And I mean, closing out that Bucks game, it just kind of led into all the locker room drama, and we had our leader emerge from all that. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe that was before the Memphis game, when Josh Richardson was the one leading the meeting with all the players, telling them everyone sucks, inactive Josh Richardson. Yeah, which is absurd. A guy who just joined the team, who, we were excited about, but didn't expect a ton from him. What a move for him to step up and earn the respect of not only everyone in the locker room, but everyone in the city.
That's more damaging.
Yes, I'm not a fan of it. Just kind of shows how in shambles they are, to the point where, I mean, fuck, if Furkan would have stepped up, and if he could speak fluent English, they probably would have had him. I mean, literally, they were just all sitting there with their fucking dicks in their hands, just waiting for someone to step up. I get it, Ben Simmons is a quiet guy, but, take your chance here. Prove that it's your team over Embiid. Try to earn your spot. Joel Embiid, you're always the leader. Step up there. We look to you for this. Al Horford, you're the dad of the team. Maybe you step up and tell everyone how bad you're playing and take ownership over it. But no, Josh Richardson steps up. And inactive Josh Richardson, as Shane pointed out. And, I mean, it was critical. I mean, everyone in Philadelphia was giving up on the Sixers. It was depressing and even darker than the show me and Andrew had, where we just kind of cried for an hour last week. Like, it was just not good. I mean, what are you guys making of all that locker room drama?
I think it's a very concerning in the sense of, I mean, obviously, like you said, Richardson steps up, which is big time, but I think it's concerning in the sense of, I think it definitely had an impact and throughout the losing stretch that they were going on before these last couple of games, and I think you saw it with, I mean, and like you said, you expect Horford to kind of step up in the situation and kind of call the team in, but instead of that, he's just going in front of the media and basically saying, oh yeah, we're having locker room issues, and so he's just telling the media and how it is rather than going and trying to do something about it. And then obviously you have Embiid start talking about how he's not the same guy as he was last year, and maybe he needs to go back to his old self instead of this new, mature Embiid. And obviously he gets into it on Twitter with people and stuff. So it just created a whole mess, and it's blowing everything up, and it's just not a good look.
It certainly is not. But whatever they did, whatever Josh Richardson, said to the team, I mean, it seemed to start working, because one of the things we did talk about in the stretch, and this is where we're going to go on the upswing a little bit in the podcast and stop being so goddamn depressed. We did say we had to win 3 of 4 games, and the Sixers did it. I mean, they came back. I might be counting wrong here. Was it 3 of 4 or 2 of 3?
3 or 4.
3 or 4. Yeah. Okay. So, sorry for my inability to do math for a second there, but so we came out. We beat a very, very hot Memphis Grizzlies team at home to preserve the best home record in all of the NBA. This was, if I remember correctly, the game where Embiid played phenomenally. Nope, never mind. He didn't play that great. This is not the one where he shot the 3 and put his finger up. Shush the crowd. But this was a game where the Sixers just kind of had it wire to wire. I mean, they played pretty well the whole time, which we needed. It was exactly what the doctor ordered. And for everyone except for Al Horford, it seemed to be a pretty good night.
You don't want to just lead off with Korkmaz?
No, I was going to let you talk about it, Jay.
I was just curious. I mean, he's your boy. You've been following his shoe wear for, I don't know, 3 months now? I
mean, yeah, entered the top 5 of my favorite players of all time. I don't know about you guys. But,
yeah, I mean, he's up there with Raja Bell for me. Yeah, Matt Geigerish.
Oh, I can't even joke about that guy. That guy fucking sucks.
I was just taking it back to the first TJ's pod that you were on.
Yeah, that's a segment we need to bring back.
That was fun. Off-season stuff here at TJ's One of Us. Get back with us. We'll see you in a few months. Yeah, man. So I was working at the restaurant during this game, and you can all thank me, by the way, because I bet against the Sixers in this one. That's why it worked out. I also bet that Ja Morant was going to go above his average, which I believe was 17. I think, yeah, he's averaging 16 and a half. I think he got like 15. Yeah, 15. So you're welcome, Philadelphia. I was the one to set this all correct because my wallet was just really taking hits lately. Don't take prop bets, kids. It's dog shit. It's a terrible way to try to make money.
Unless it's a Dame Lillard prop bet, which is the greatest bet in all of sports right now.
But, that's probably very true.
It's hit for the last 10 games.
He's crazy.
I just jinxed it, so I mean nobody bet it anymore, but it's the best bet of all time.
But yeah, so I'm at the restaurant, right? And like we're all like taking turns just walking out and taking a look at the bigger screen that's in the restaurant. And I'm like, did that just flash that he's 5 of 6 from 3 right now in like the first quarter? And one of the other guys is like, yeah, man, Cork's hot tonight. And I was like, no one's ever fucking said that to me in my life. Like, are you sure? Like, are we watching like that mysterious like summer league game or whatever where he dropped 60, whatever the hell it was? But like you just kept watching and it was just like, man, like this was that potential like lottery-esque pick that people were thinking, not top 3 lottery, like top 15. in his draft year. Like there's something there, and like he's just showing he's developed a floater. Obviously the three ball is what it is. He's the only shooter on the fucking team. He's showing like an assertiveness to get into the lane and then to drive and to absorb contact. He's turning into such a complete player that I didn't anticipate happening, and I still don't know if it's because he hit fuck it. And he's just like, well, if it doesn't work out here, it doesn't work out here. I'm going back to fucking Turkey or wherever he's from and just doing his thing. But it was the Korkmaz game, man. Like he's got his Linsanity moment. He had 3 straight 2 games, really 2.5 games, where his shot was spectacular. This is also the Joel Embiid game where he left at halftime with an injured neck or ego, not sure which. But yeah, man, he was. So Joel actually didn't look bad. He was shooting fairly efficient. He had 10 points and 10 boards at the half. And he was like a really willing passer out of the post, which he isn't always. But he's just looks like such a bitch out there now. It's so fucking weird. Do you guys get that sense from him out there? Like he's just like, obviously he doesn't look like he enjoys Philadelphia anymore at all. He doesn't look like he's having fun. I don't know what happened in this personality shift, but he legitimately looks like a different person out there on the court.
Yeah, he looks like he's just out there applying to play, and like he looks like he's not having fun anymore, even playing the game, whether it's in Philly or if he'd go anywhere else. Like it doesn't seem like he fully enjoys the game of basketball anymore, and I don't know if that's just because he kind of started late in his life where he picked up the game and now he's kind of just losing interest, or if it was the whole change in personality and everything. And I mean, I know he mentioned going back to his old ways to kind of enjoy it more, and maybe that's what he needs, but who knows? But I agree with you. He seems like a completely different person. He's just out there to kind of run around and just not. It doesn't seem like he's playing with anybody anymore, even his teammates or anybody else. It just seemed like he's out there just for himself, and it's just a very odd situation because he used to be, the fun, loving guy, and now it's like nobody even knows who he is.
So like, you know what? I'm gonna take the rare positive spin note on this, so I'll let you go for it and feed off of Andrew's comment. But I got something positive to say here, weirdly. So
mine's not like necessarily negative or positive, but like athletes and especially big men in the NBA, like I feel like their phases with their body type just change so much quicker and evolve so much quicker than what, say, a guard would. Like if you're a guard who's just like a quick twitch guard who could shoot and find a spot anywhere on the floor, like you may have that identity for like 8 to 10 years. But if you're like a dominant and athletic big and like you have this rare combination of size, speed, strength, just overall agility and quickness, like that may only last a season or two if you're healthy. Joe's far more just thick and bulky. It's not even that he's like out of shape, which he's not in great shape, but he's certainly not what he was 2-3 years ago. Do you think that he's really struggling mentally, that his body cannot do what it could when he entered into this league and asserted himself as the league's next best big? Like, has he just not figured out a way to kind of reinvent himself in the way that Shaq did every 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I think, and this actually weirdly feeds kind of into what I was going to say. I don't know how we keep feeling this. It's got to be a cousin thing or something gay like that. I don't know.
Definitely relation.
But so I completely agree with you. Now, the fact that I had read a while ago that when a big man is out for any extended period of time, which Joel Embiid was out for 3+ weeks, it takes them 2 weeks to get back in shape for every week they're out. And the thought on that is he's so much bigger and has so much more mass to move around than someone who's just guard, that it's taking him a long time to get back to neutral, right? He's just at like a negative in shape right now. That combined with the fact that he has a bum finger, and on top of the fact that he just has a horrible attitude right now, it's all feeding into him, and it's making him just be at the absolute worst point he can be at. So I'm not ready to just give up and say we got to get rid of him, or be like the asshole at the Sixers game the other night who was wearing the trade and bum jersey that got snapped from the crowd. Like that guy was an asshole. It might have been. I don't know. It was just some dude who defaced his Embiid jersey and kind of hope he got into a fight in the parking lot. But the fact that, he is not in great shape and is coming back from injury is reasonable, and I think no one is giving him enough credit for that. When you're a superstar in this league, of course, you need to just come back and perform at all times. That's just what we demand of you, and he has a max contract. So I understand that, taking it. But my favorite part of this game is the fact that, as Shane had said, my boy, Furkan Korkmaz, maybe the 8th best player in the NBA right now. I don't know. But he went off. He had 19 points in the first quarter. He had the crowd all standing up. Everyone was going nuts. The Sixers were feeding him the ball. And you know what? They were okay just letting him take over and feeding off his energy. And it was the first time in a while that Embiid left the game. And they were like, you know what? It's okay. We'll lift Joel up and we'll all play great. And that is what we started this year being so excited about, was the fact that we have so many superstars and so many guys that can step up on any given night, that if Joel Embiid needs to play 20 minutes in the game or 10 minutes in the game like he did in this one, or 16, excuse me, he played 16 minutes, it doesn't matter. We can pick them up and, rise above a good Memphis Grizzlies team who's very hot right now. And I think that is the most impressive thing that came out of this game.
Yeah, I agree. It's weird, because Ben Simmons had a really good game. I mean, he had 22 points, 10 assists. I think 11 of them were to Furkan Korkmaz. It was a complete effort from a team that loses their. Honestly, look, at the end of the day, Joe's still their best player, and I think that everyone, including Ben, I think gets that. So as Andrew said, it's good to see these people kind of come back out there and lift you up after Joe goes out at the half. I can't remember where I was going with this argument. I've got to remember to take off notifications when I'm recording fucking podcasts. This is brutal. This is my 3rd pod of the night. I've just gone back to back to back right now. And in each one of these podcasts that I've been on, I've been looking down at my phone at a stat for a quick minute from that game or whatever we were discussing on the pod. And then just got random school alerts, Twitter alert, just everything. It's fucked. I got to stop this shit. Continue.
I just say the biggest thing for me from this game was, like as you guys said, is they had different people step up, but here's the thing. The thing that I keep thinking of is, I feel like every time we mention a bad stretch, there's always these few games that we talk about another guy stepping up here or there, and they win 3 or 4 in a row. That's why we just need to see it continue and into the few games left before the break, and then hopefully it all regroups again and they carry it over. And that's just something I want to see after a game like this, is just continue it rather than figuring these next few out and then going backwards like we have seen in the past. And I think it helps that we get these home games, and these home games help us get back because we're so good at home. And now I think that's the only thing that's left. It's just trying to find ways to carry it over into road games.
Yeah, we fucking blow on the road. Looks like an entirely different team. I don't know how to fix it. We've had an answer for everything else that's been wrong with the Sixers up to this point. So
I kind of think I do. I think that I've got it. There's a reason why you had Carson Wentz took everyone to his whatever hut thing in North Dakota and just shot bird things. And they were like, team bonding. Yes, we've killed things together. We're going to go out and execute on Sundays. And they do, to an extent. But you may go paintballing with your company. You may all go whitewater rafting. You do something together. And I don't know if you guys read any of the things that come out about the way that this team travels, and there are small cliques of people, that kind of do get along, and they go and they do things. But JJ Redick referenced it on his podcast. There isn't a lot of just collective team anything when they leave the city of Philadelphia. It's like when you're at home, when you're in Philadelphia, you get to go back home to your families and your loved ones, or like your own place, and you do your own thing, and like that's expected. But when you go on the road and you're traveling the country and you're there for 2-3 days and whatever, like, don't you guys find it weird that they don't all go out to dinner together, or like even just like the starters or something go out to dinner together? Like maybe only one or two of them do, but then the rest of them do their own thing. And they're like, who's looking out for one another? Like, who's saying like, yo, Furkan, you don't need to do 17 shots tonight. 15's good. Like, just get your ass back to the hotel tonight. We got a game tomorrow. Like, who's looking out for anyone right now? Like, Joe, maybe you don't need 48 burgers tonight. Like, let's get a baked chicken sandwich and call it a fucking night. Let's go. Like, there's no like camaraderie. I don't know that these guys like each other or tolerate each other for that matter. And that's concerning to me. Like you're building a culture here. City of Philadelphia is huge on culture across all of our sports, and the Sixers don't have one together. They have like a couple stars, a couple like second, third tier stars, and then a bunch of guys, and none of them fucking like each other.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's something I kind of looked at, and or not looked at, but the first time I kind of noticed something similar was, I get it, Butler used to play for us, but that game in Miami where they go and hang out, there's the few guys that hung out with him at the Super Bowl, but it's like, to your point, like, never do you see any of those pictures coming around, like, even like when the Eagles were playing, like, you never saw them going to an Eagles game or any of that, or like a Phillies game in the offseason or something like that. I mean, it's always the same few guys hanging out with each other. Outside of like you mentioned, you have the few things on social media. Like obviously we talked about before was when Matisse messed up the takeout order on the bus or whatever, and that they're all laughing about that. But they're kind of forced to at that point when they're sitting on a bus together. So I agree with you completely. Is like there's no, outside of the few guys that have kind of been around a little bit, there is no bonding between these guys. And and again, the last week or however long ago it was when they hung out with Butler, and I get it, catch up with an old teammate and friend or whatever. But again, you don't see any of that with each other rather than anywhere else.
I mean, do we have to send these guys a Nintendo Switch and get them all playing Mario Kart together? Is that like the solution to this? Like, I don't know what stupid thing they can start doing. Like, if you don't get the hint that like, hey, you should probably be, talking about the game a little bit and like grabbing a beer afterwards or a fucking water or whatever we need Joel Embiid to do because he doesn't drink. Like, I don't get it. That's stuff that like is innate. It shouldn't have to be taught. And like if you have to force it, that's almost as bad as the fact that it's not happening at all.
Yeah, just don't send them bowling. We don't need any Andrew Bynum action.
Ode
to the process beginning.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, that would bring it all full circle. It's very ironic. If bowling was what brought us together and won us the championship in Philadelphia. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Have a damn cookout. Like, it's just, this stuff drives me crazy. I hate the people that I work with right now. In one of my jobs, because I know that I think each one of these places I work right now listen to these shows, and it should be fun tomorrow. But my previous place of employment didn't particularly love all those people, but like, you got to do these things. And look, you don't all have to like the same shit. You don't all have to. You just have to do something to find a commonality between you guys that you can kind of coexist and you can get on that same wavelength. Because when you don't like someone, your body language you can fucking tell when you're on the court. You're a half step behind. You don't read or see the same things. But when you understand a person off the basketball court, it's going to help you so much more translate to feel them out on the basketball court. And maybe there's not so many just fuckeries, man. This team, they're not fun. I don't like them. I hate the 76ers. They piss me off so much. I really like the winning streak we're on. Keep going.
I mean, I like Furkan Korkmaz. The rest of them are just okay. But
I like his chest hair.
Yeah. I mean, Furkan's got it going on. Like, cannot speak more high of how good he has been. I don't think that
he just makes it rain.
Yeah. I mean, just 65 points over 2 games, which He finished up in the Chicago Bulls game, which we're going to get into a little bit here. Yeah,
First sixer all year to do that, by the way, over 30 points back-to-back nights.
That is stupid. I mean, that's almost as shocking as the fucking Buck stat I brought up before, which is like a historically great stat. Like, I don't like that at all. Like, how has Joel Embiid not had back-to-back 30-point nights yet this year? It's ridiculous. You need him to put up 35 every night in the playoffs. Like, you need to start now. But yeah, so I mean, this was another. It was just a good game. I mean, I think I was wrong in saying before that Furkan had 19 points in the first quarter of the Memphis game. I actually think it was this game against the Bulls. And the only reason I bring that up is I'm pretty sure I was texting Shane during it, and I just said, like, Furkan had 19, and you were like, I'm not watching this right now. Like, unbelievable, like, back-to-back nights. And I broached the question that everyone at home is thinking of, and I'm shocked hasn't come up and, had Stephen A. Smith talking about it yet. But do we just trade Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and keep Furkan Korkmaz and make him the center of this team? Like, give the guy a max deal right now and, like, just center everything around him? Like,
he definitely needs a shoe deal.
I mean, damn right he needs a shoe deal, and I'm working on that one. You may see me as Furkan Korkmaz's agent before the year is over. Just saying. Like,
wait, can you do both? Isn't that like a conflict of interest? Like, who gets dumped? Do me and Andrew have to do this shit alone?
Nah, that's part of the deal. I'm gonna have him on the show every once in a while. We're working it out. Legally, I can't talk about these things. Like, it put me in a weird spot. But, like, out here in California, closing deals with this dude from fucking Europe. Yeah, so things are happening at the TJ is One of Us podcast, and I mean,
one of our 8 listeners is Furkan.
I mean, maybe it is. I cannot confirm or deny this. So, no. But yeah, this is a fun basketball game. Similar to how the Bucks score at the end of the night did not represent how bad the Sixers played or how dominated they got. This was another game. I mean, the Sixers were just. We all kind of just knew that they had it the whole time. There's a small stretch in the second and third quarters when they looked a little wavering, but there was never really a doubt in this one. It was also the game where Joel Embiid hit a 3 at the end and put his finger up and shushed the crowd at the Wells Fargo Arena, which was a bit confusing, a bit concerning, and kind of childish in my opinion. But yeah, that was probably the biggest takeaway from this game for me, aside from our boy Furkan.
How the fuck old is Joel Embiid? Real quick, sorry. This is another one of those fucking alert things that just drove me crazy.
He's 25, yeah. Birthday's coming up soon, so we got to think of a birthday present to send him. But
I don't know, Jenny Craig. But no, so there was a tweet that just came out, but it's just because top 10 players under 25. So I'm going to take this as saying that, like, those mentioned on this are 24 and under, just to make myself feel better. But it's 1, 2, and 3 is Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, and Zion Williamson, then Ben Simmons. Zion's not a fucking basketball player. I love him. He's fun, and he's going to be a hell of a lot of fun to watch. But Ben Simmons is way better than him. But yeah, Joel Embiid not on this list. But that makes me feel better. I'm considering he's 26 years old. That's what we're going to say. Continue.
His birthday is the 16th of March. So yeah, he is 25, almost 26. They probably just left him off the list entirely. Quick tangent here. I had heard. We always have SportsCenter or some sports thing on in all the TVs in the office. And in the kitchen, they have the sound on. And I was in making a delicious breakfast sandwich the other day. And I heard Stephen A. Smith's dumbass fucking talking about how there is a chance that Ja Morant will not win the Rookie of the Year. That fucking Zion, if the Pelicans make the playoffs at all, it is entirely up to him. He's going to get all the credit for it. And he's playing so well right now that he has a real chance to win the Rookie of the Year. I mean, obviously, I don't agree with this, but do you guys see any validity in this statement?
It depends on. Look, I don't know. I don't, because I don't think he's we look, the whole roster, they're so fun. The Pelicans are so much fucking fun. They were fun before he got there. Like, it just, or before he healthily got there. Ja Morant's the rookie of the year. Like, that is what it is. But what's sexier? What's gonna sell more? What's gonna grab headlines? Is it gonna be one of the most handsome smiles in the history of the NBA in Zion? I mean, he stole an All-Star game spot playing 3.5 minutes of NBA basketball over Matisse, or a Rising Stars game spot, not an All-Star spot. That'd be really fucked. But yeah, it's just marketability. It's bullshit.
That's what I agree with you on. I think in some cases it almost seems like they do go for the market more than the actual winner, and that's the only reason why I think I could see him getting it. And I think it's similar. I don't know. Did it? Because I don't think it missed the amount of games to the extent Zion did. But didn't Malcolm Brogdon? I know it was a weaker rookie class, but didn't Brogdon win Rookie of the Year after missing a good amount of games that year? With the year he won Rookie of the Year. So I just think, as much as I think it should count towards him not winning it, I would definitely pick Ja. I think to the point that they might just go with Zion because he's been the biggest name from day one in college, and Ja's kind of made himself known more than Zion's already out there just because of his size and stuff. But he's off to a good start. I just think it should be too late for him.
Memphis is also great.
Yeah, like, I was
so
gonna
fun.
say, that is his team. Like, the Pelicans are not Zion's team quite yet. Like, the rest of them collectively are doing an awesome job. As Shane said, they're so much fun to watch. Like, yeah, Zion's great, and he stepped in, and his debut was awesome, and like, he's gonna be amazing. But I don't think it's his team quite yet.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna have to hop into John Morant's DMs too, see if I can get him to start a part of the sports agency I just created tonight. Like, see if we can get him a better deal too, and we'll lead the media charge trying to get him to win Rookie of the Year, because that's gonna piss me off so much. But I mean, back to Sixers basketball. Yeah, we beat the Bulls, but let's get back to this Embiid thing and bitch about him a little bit more, where he puts the finger up and shushes the crowd at the Wells Fargo Arena. Yeah, it was a big shot. Yeah, it was huge. The crowd was all cheering for him. But all of the trade Embiid talk and all the negative publicity seemed to come to a head at that exact moment. And I think, when we're doing the championship, review or whatever at the end of the year when the Sixers win, because I still believe that there's a chance we can pull it off this year. That's going to be like a solid 10 minutes of the documentary they put out, and it's going to come to a head with a screen cap of him shushing the crowd. There'll be an interview of him talking about his feelings and how upset he was at that point, and how he's up and down with the city of Philadelphia. I just don't understand that move.
I think he's a child.
Yeah, I just don't think he knows what's going on, and I think at some point, like, I think he just let everything build up into him, and I think I'm pretty sure Horford was the first one to do it when Horford hit a big shot, and I was kind of thinking to myself, I wonder if Embiid kind of just tried to, he always plays that kind of copycat role sometimes, and I wonder if he just saw Horford do it and he tried to do it, he just thought it'd be funny to do it as well. So I just wonder if he kind of like did it after that, and I even wonder if Al didn't do it if Embiid would have even done it in the first place.
Yeah, that's a good point. I kind of forgot Al Horford did it too.
Hilarious.
It was hilarious, and like, I don't know. Still, to me, like, it was very. It's weird that we as fans can say it was disrespectful, but it was fucking disrespectful. Like, we've backed you for a long time. Yeah, we're up and down, but like, you know where you play. Like, you don't think it was disrespectful, or you don't think that we backed him?
No, I don't think it was disrespectful. Like, I genuinely don't care. Like, what means the most to us here as 76ers fans talking about this team? Like, we want to win basketball games. We want Joel Embiid to be a superstar. And like, so long as he's not murdering people, raping people, I really don't care what kind of person he is out there. If he needs to be this good asshole that he's claiming to be, which is really just a fucking child, but if he needs to tap into that to get back to that I am a fun guy who gets under people's skin, and sometimes I'm going to get under yours, but guess what? You're going to get 25 and 15, and you're going to get dominant 30, 35 points in the playoffs. You're going to get a guy who is legitimately a top 3 to 5 player in the NBA. I'm okay with it. I don't really care. I thought it was funny. Like, I think he's an idiot, but I think it was funny. Like, I just don't care. I don't understand why people are as tweaked about this as they are.
I think I'll speak to the sensitive people in Philadelphia that are upset about it, which I will include myself in and refer to us all as pussies. I think our feelings are a little hurt. Like that's part of it, man. You can't play this bad and then disrespect people like that. That's what it comes down to. I mean, there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears from the team and the fans that are invested in this. So I don't know. I feel like it was as much as he definitely didn't think that through, it was a rash decision to shush the crowd. I also think people didn't think their reaction through. It was emotion filled. We're two loved ones having a fight, and we made up the next night, and it was all okay. Joel Embiid actually even put out kind of a nice statement the other day about it, but like,
yeah, because he's got a PR team.
Well, yeah, of course. And when you can think about
Joe
that and not be
do
on
anything to apologize.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. Like I sit here and I think, like, say you're Reese Hoskins amidst the second half slump last year that saw him be statistically the worst hitter in baseball. He struck out 26 times out of his last 35 at bats. He's been booed every time he goes to the plate and he hits a walk-off home run. And he throws the bat in the air and he says, "Fuck off." Are you mad at him for this? Like, is he yelling at the baseball? Is he yelling at you? Is it just a culmination of, like, thank God I'm fucking back, and that felt right again? And that's the emotion that came out. I can't say that my emotion would be any different. I probably, too, would have sat there and said, shut the fuck up. I probably would have gotten ejected in the Catholic leagues that I played in. But the point is, when you feel like yourself again for that one moment, when you haven't felt like yourself in so long, that type of emotion that comes out is real, it's raw, and I respect it. It wasn't at me directly, it wasn't at the fan base directly. It was at this, like, thing that he's been chasing that he has not been able to get back, and he felt good for half a second, and I'm fine with it. And I don't get your side of things. Like, I don't get this side of Philadelphia, the sensitive side right now. I feel personally attacked. I feel as though, like, you don't understand that we've backed you. That's not what it was. This was like the biggest relief for him in a moment. That's all.
Yeah, and I think my thing with it is, in the sense of the fans, I think Philadelphia fans just feel like no matter what they say, no matter how good the player is, the fans have to have the last say. And I think you saw that with a lot of previous cases. I mean, I wasn't around for it, but you hear the stories of Mike Schmidt getting booed all the time, and he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, third baseman in the history of baseball. You see Jimmy Rollins, he now leads the team in hits, and there's a time period, I can't remember the exact year, but he came out and spoke bad on the fans for a quick second in some interview or conference it was, and he gets booed for the longest time when the team returned home. I remember that. And I mean, obviously Howard had a good time with the Phillies, and by the time at the end of Howard's career, he's getting booed like crazy, and a fan, I know it's one fan, but a beer bottle gets thrown at him. So it's just the way that the fans are, and no matter how big or little it is, with the fans being able to say stuff when a game starts, they're going to boo them just because they feel like they need the last say and they're better than all the athletes themselves.
Well, joke's on everyone else because we're doing our show a couple days late because I've been lazy this week. So I'm going to get the ultimate last word when no one else even wants to talk about this anymore. But yeah, no, I agree. It's a visceral reaction from me and everyone else as well. We're just kind of venting emotions. And have I actually taken this personally? Like, no, but there was a moment when I saw that happen and I had a spike of rage in my mind and thought about hitting Twitter, and then it was like, yeah, this is a bad idea. Like, Shane, I think you're right on it. 25-year-old kid, he's going through probably one of the roughest slumps of his career. Give him a break on this one. Joel Embiid, I forgive you, and bring us the championship and stuff, and we'll all look back and laugh about this. So yeah, no, I agree. I'm glad that that's all over with, and I'm glad that his PR team put something together for him that he could say and apologize to everyone when he doesn't need to apologize. And you know what? This is what's good about Philly sports, right? There's always something controversial happening happening. There's always someone being an asshole, whether it's a fan, a player, a coach, someone in the front office. It doesn't matter. This is the shit that we live for. So, Joel Embiid, if you want to just throw double birds to the crowd next time, maybe moon us Randy Moss style, I'm okay with that too. Just as long as you keep winning, for God's sake. So this Chicago Bulls game, what else do you even have to say about this one?
I don't know if you guys saw this, but looking at the stats, I don't know if I've ever seen this before. It might, or at least maybe once or twice at most. But looking at the box score, it's funny to look at every single one of the Sixers starters. I know plus minus doesn't mean everything, but every single one of the starters were negative in the plus minus category, while every single one of the bench players that went in the game were a positive plus minus. I just thought that was a very odd stat to look at.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah, Horford was -1, Harris was -5, Embiid was -1, Simmons -2, and Shake Milton -7, while Scott was +12, Robinson III was +11, Richardson off the bench was 9, Thibault was 5, and Korkmaz was 14.
I'm surprised Robinson had anything left after he basically just, joined the row team down Boathouse Row. That guy took 48 years to get here.
Yeah,
Him
he
and
rode a bike.
Burks. Guy's
Very
ridiculous.
energy-conscious.
Right? And we got a +11 out of him in the plus minus column. Dude, that's a weird ass stat, man. Thank you for bringing this to my attention, how shitty our starting lineup was. Fuck.
That is another just crazy stat. This is the crazy stat episode here, along with the Scott's feelings are hurt episode. But but yeah, the starters can't suck like that. And I'm just looking in comparison at the Bulls starters, and they were all decent. I mean, it always cracks me up every night when I look at Zach LaVine's stat line, and he has the ball in his hands for 99% of the game, it feels like, and he always puts up 25 or 30 points or some ridiculous number, but actually didn't play that well, and all of his stats are kind of a fluke, and he was -3 on the night. They're a confusing, weird team, the Bulls, but they suck. So, I don't know. That is a strange thing to look at here.
It would be nice to beat a team that sucks and not have to play our fucking starters at all in the second half, or at least the fourth quarter. That would be nice.
The Swell is itching for minutes. Could have put him out there for a solid 25.
I'm so happy for him. Dude, have you guys been watching his social media stuff? Not social media stuff, whatever the team puts out on social media of him?
Yeah.
He's fucking adorable.
Yeah.
This guy
is actually the best word for it.
He's that's all I got for him. He's 6'10", he's goofy as hell. Hearing him talk, I'm not entirely certain he's not on the spectrum or something. He's just such a weird dude, but he's so fucking lovably adorable that I'm so happy for the Swell. And I'm glad that we're sticking with calling him as the Swell.
That's not going away.
But yeah, it should definitely never go away. But no, he very much so deserved that contract to be brought over for a full NBA contract and not the two-way. So just definitely excited for him. Really sad about the Kyle O'Quinn thing. Still love him. Don't understand why the hell he is not in Brett's good graces.
Yeah, all of that is kind of weird. I'm just going to stick to looking at the positives with the Swell here. I mean, that video that came out right when he signed the contract of him talking about the fact that he was watching a movie with his family, which
right.
also adorable. I imagine him and his parents have a movie date every Friday night, and they pay for the ticket still, even though he's an NBA basketball player now. And just the genuine joy on his face. That's the good stuff from basketball. Whether it's Philadelphia, New York, LA, Indiana, it doesn't matter. Wherever you are, everyone loves to see that. And, I am probably one of the most skeptical people ever looking at basketball stuff, but it's good to take a step away, look at that, and realize it's still just a fun basketball or a fun game, and these guys are out there and they love playing.
Very much so, and it is players like that do make some of these not so easy to watch periods of the season watchable. It was exciting to see Mariel Shayok come up and get, a handful of minutes for a couple games there, even though, like he's not ready to be up here. He's probably not fit for an NBA player, but you could see what that means to a guy like that. Same thing, obviously, anytime, Shake getting on the court as consistently as he is and taking advantage of that. We haven't talked enough about how good he's been, and what he's really given, the lift that he's given this team. Zaire, obviously, like it's fun seeing these types of things work out when other things just kind of aren't.
Yeah, it is. Let's take a little bit and talk about Shake Milton, actually, because his minutes did drop off in this Clippers game, which we're about to get into. But he's been awesome with Josh Richardson out and stepped up when, honestly, everyone just kind of forgot about him a little bit. And Brett Brown gave him some time, had him in the starting lineup, and he plays fucking hard. Doesn't matter if they're down, if they're up, if it's a close game, if it's a blowout. He's out there. Homeboy just plays really fucking hard. He'll do whatever he has to. He'll shoot, he'll drive, be point guard, play on the wing. It doesn't matter. He's just out there working for his time, and I hope he becomes a staple of the lineup, and we don't just forget about him and with our new additions who rode over here, rode a bike, skateboard, whatever the fuck they did to get here. I hope they don't replace him.
Rode a skateboard?
Yeah, he's in San Francisco. Everyone's all wavy up there. Like,
that's the best thing I've ever heard.
So yeah, Shake needs to get his due a little bit. I mean, before the year, I honestly think we might have talked about him more than like Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons for a time. We were just pumped about Shake, and he just kind of didn't fit in right away. But he got over the hump that whatever it was going on with him, and he's been awesome lately. And that's been one of the few bright kind of things that have come out of the last 5 to 7 games.
Very much so. Him clawing out a role, and especially with like Richardson still clearly not right. So allowing Jay Rich to kind of minimize those minutes and not or have a guy that can actually play with Ben Simmons, which I don't think has been talked about enough, by the way. Like Ben Simmons has never found a guard that ideally could play with him stylistically and work, and like Shake's that guy right now. And it's legitimately the first time he's had that. And we're seeing Ben flourish again. Like he goes through those periods and times where he looks great, and then he kind of reduces back down to what he is when he's not so aggressive. But he's really, really good with Shake on the floor. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Shake, and I think the thing that works out for him is kind of like you said, Scott, was like how hard he goes out there and works. And like he understands his role with the team, and he understands he's not going to be like the everyday go-to player, but he understands kind of like TJ McConnell. I mean, like he understood that when his number's called, he's going to have to do what it takes to elevate his game and get to the next level, or else his minutes are going to seriously take a hit. And he's more of a guy that's going to come in, and hopefully Brett can realize it. But when Shake's got the matchup, that's when you got to utilize his talent compared to like other ways, because I don't think he's ever going to be like the go-to guy, but he'll have a couple matchups here and there depending on who you're playing. I think to have a couple opportunities to get a roll off the bench, and yeah, hopefully his minutes don't completely go away, because I did like watching him play, and he definitely provided a good spark here and there, and filled the role nicely with the way he shot the ball, especially in those final games before Richardson came back.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to imagine a world where the Sixers starting lineup is Shake Milton at the point, Cork Moss at the 2. We got probably Glenn Robinson at the 3, or insert other weird player. Maybe you throw Al Horford out there because he's kind of a reject right now.
Hayward Highsmith.
Yeah, and then the swell up top. I mean, that sounds almost unbeatable, and I kind of like all of those guys more than our starters right now. So
Same.
I think the next time the Sixers act up, Brett Brown should just play those guys to prove a point.
I'm for it. The fact that you're not putting Zaire in there is very upsetting to me. Zaire at the 2, Furkan at the 3. You're welcome.
There you go. I mean, Furkan's a big dunk guy now too, so he does need to be in the front court.
I guess Beast.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, I can't believe we didn't talk about the Josh Richardson reaction to the Furcon thing. That's why he's the leader in the locker room, is because he's doing shit like that. That was unbelievable. Like I watched that GIF, like the short video that was out on Twitter, probably 100 times the next day, and I smiled for a good, I don't know, 10 minutes. Like it was awesome just watching him get hyped up and everyone get behind Furcon, and Jay Rich is fitting in well over here, and I'm enjoying having him back, and I didn't realize how much we missed him.
It's a shame because he just mirrors the city so much. Like he just gets it. He gets what it means to be an athlete in Philadelphia. And like I think that was something that he just came over with. It's not something that he just kind of adopted like whilst here. Like he's that kind of an edgy, gritty kind of a player. And it makes me sad because like he's not a good fit. Like for what Ben Simmons needs, for what Joel Embiid needs, like he's just not a good fit. So I could see him moved because he's got a really favorable contract. He's got another year of control. Like as an off-season move, like that kind of is the thing that's going to happen. Which sucks because he's so much fun. He's just so much energy. I dig him.
Yeah, and we're not a fun team at all, so we can't give up fun guys. We need cool people. I don't know. We're gonna need Tobias Harris to get Boban back or something. Like I don't know. We need a shtick again, and I'm worried about it. But let's get back into things with this Clippers game. As I had mentioned, I did not get to watch this game, and I was just following along on GameCast. And when I went to catch the recap later that night after my weird dinner with a vendor that I didn't really want to be at, I found out that games are blacked out in your area for 3 nights after it. So I will not be able to watch this game, which was a good one. And the Sixers, emerged victorious here and got our revenge on Kawhi Leonard for the next 3 nights. So what I did is I gave Shane and Andrew a challenge to kind of subtly drop something into their recap of the game here that's not correct. And what I'm going to do is try to listen along. And next week, I'm going to see after I get the game if I can pick up on what they slipped in or if they can trick me. So,
I need to ask just a specification of the rules right now. Is it just one thing a piece that we are putting in here that is incorrect? Or can we throw as much bullshit as we want?
You can throw as much bullshit in there as you want, and everyone will see if I can
are in for a challenge.
Oh God, I'm pulling out my notepad right now.
Don't worry about it, man. I'm recording it. You know how? On a fucking podcast, Scott. You don't need to write anything down. You can refer back to it anytime you want.
God damn it! I'm gonna be listening to my own voice all week. It's gonna be so weird, but all right, let's do it.
That's good.
Andrew,
our listens are at 9.
All right, go for it.
No, overall, I thought they came in. They needed the prove me game, and that's what they did. The start. They got a good effort from a lot of different guys to show this, and he had a couple different people go in there and have a big role in the game. And I think that was the most intriguing thing out of the game to see was that this team was able to step up and show the big thing. And I think the Ben Simmons game. This was a great game for Ben Simmons to show, and I think overall he came to play. And I think that's the big thing is these guys, again, come out and elevate at home, and Simmons and Embiid were 2 key guys. And I don't know if you guys know the stat, but I saw this earlier, is the Sixers are 6-0 when Simmons and Embiid both score 23 points, at least 23 points, which is something they need from the 2 superstars. And I think it proves the point wrong that they can't play together wrong, because when they do play that well together, they ball out.
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, that's a stat that I think if your 2 best players are both averaging over 23, like you should feel good about that. Like we just talked about a 78 game streak when or with the Bucks, score over 100. It's Giannis and Middleton, like. Okay. It's just every single night, or the 2 of them are both going to have 20, 25 points. It's ridiculous. But I don't know. I think the most interesting thing that came from this game, honestly, is the fact that, like, I don't know if it was earlier that day or the day before, where it had finally come to fruition, the thing that had been talked about with Al Horford for a couple weeks now, was saying, like, you know what, like, the move is move him to the bench. And I believe this was the first game that he was a part of the bench member, and Furkan Korkmaz was entered in.
And confirm it was.
Okay, good. So it was weird to me, the way when I saw that, and I saw that Furkan was, you know, inserted in. Obviously, we're playing the Clippers. I just, you assumed that you were going to need a really strong offensive output for this game, and to me, I thought that they were going to lean on a guy that had been so white hot in Korkmaz, who only puts up 5 shots this night. You know, and then to on the other side of that switch, you have Al Horford who comes in, and a guy who has had the quickest trigger of anyone on this team. And Scott, you mentioned it earlier that, like, he's being asked to do things. It's just not his game. It's not his style. It's not his job. It fell back into a role that looked more Al Horford-y. You know, it just goes like a really modest, just 3 of 4, knocked down both of his free throws, only took 2 threes. You know, and he had like a quiet 9 points, 6 boards, and 3 assists, had 2 blocks. He looked like he was moving his feet significantly better on defense, which is good because, I mean, the Clippers are nothing but guards. So if Al Horford can move his feet against guards, should feel pretty good about a guy who's been super slow all year. But like it was weird. So at one point, Tobias Harris and Josh Richardson were, it was, I want to say, like late second quarter, somewhere in there. Tobias Harris and Josh Richardson got caught up on each other, and Kawhi got by. It was a blown coverage, which honestly is what it is. And they started talking with Brett Brown and one of their assistant coaches, and that is whatever that was. And from that point on, like, I don't know, and Andrew, I don't know if you noticed this throughout like the last 2-3 minutes of the first half and then the whole second half, I didn't notice any like just clear blown assignments. Like, the communication was so much better on defense than it typically is. And we don't have a lineup that stacks up well against the Clippers. So that was super impressive to me. I don't know about that for you.
No, I agree 100% with that. And I think that's one big thing. And I know he finishes the game with 30 points, so it might not look like Simmons did the best in guarding Kawhi at times. But I thought, like you said, once they got down with that communication, I thought overall, like, they kind of did what they had to on the Clippers. And, I mean, you hold them to 103, so I think that, I mean, obviously that shows a good sign there. You only really had one bad quarter in that second quarter where you let up 32. But they just did such a good job, I think, of mixing different rotations up. And I believe the game was tied at halftime. I think it was 54 apiece. And I think that the jump start in that second quarter, or in the third quarter, second half, was just tremendous. And I think that's something you haven't seen from this team, was jumping out to a hot start in the second half and being able to see what this team could do actually for once and make halftime adjustments was just a huge, huge advantage. And I think that, again, that goes to the point of starting Horford on the bench. He just seemed well rested and was able to get a jump start from there. And I think obviously Korkmaz struggled, and I just think he suits better for the bench role. So I agree with keeping Horford on the bench, but it's probably because how hot Korkmaz was. But I kind of think about rotating someone else in the starting lineup there, because I think Korkmaz just feeds off the bench better. But going back to the point about the defense, I think they did find some type of rhythm there and click. And I think part of that was also credit to Josh Richardson. He's able to, as he's still coming back from the injury, he's just able to move so fast and stuff. And he had 2 blocks in the game. So I think Richardson just great job coming back, and he really rose to the challenge.
Yeah, it was good from Jay Rich. In terms of blocks too, man, Matisse Thybulle had an awesome block on Shamet, one of those patented, like, got behind the screen and had to block him from behind, how he does. How earlier in the year he was constantly fouling people, but he's got, like, I don't know, Lou Williams is like 6'0". So but like that was a high energy play in the second half there that kind of ended a bit of a spurt by, I think it was only like a 6-point run. It was like a 6-0 run from the Clippers. But that was a big play by Thibault there on defense, which was good. Furkan Korkmaz had, they credited it as a steal, but I think it was just a deflection. And it led to a Tobias Harris awesome dunk, which was lovely. If you did not see that replay, I strongly encourage putting that one on loop. But I think one of the most telling things from this game is the time on the court for Ben Simmons and the time on the court for Joel Embiid. This is a game where I 100% would have assumed that Brett Brown fucks up in terms of who he uses and when. So Ben Simmons plays 43 minutes, and like that, just it shouldn't keep happening. But in a game like this, acceptable. Earlier in the year or last year, Joel Embiid probably would have been at like 38 minutes, 39 minutes, anything to try to keep this game at arm's reach, because we did have a strong second half. He only played 28 minutes, and it was smart. So in 28 minutes, like I said, Joel Embiid, first time he looked like he had fun in a long time. It's with the 26-9-2 was pretty impressive, and it was a real growth moment for Brett Brown. My one disappointing type of thing, and this is kind of to go back to what Andrew had said a little bit earlier, is the fact that like Shake Milton getting 42 fucking seconds for Glenn Robinson III to be in there for 12 minutes and 19 seconds. Not cool with that, like at all. I also think Glenn Robinson stinks, and I think that Alec Burks stink as well. So that's real fucking disappointing for me that two guys who haven't been able to hack it in their 5-6 years in the NBA, and then they went to the worst team in all of the NBA and got minutes, and suddenly their stats went up. Wonder fucking why. So free Shake.
I'm glad you brought that up. I was actually very upset with. I mean, I think the pickup was good, getting Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson. Yeah, there are two guys at the bench that could help. But the fact that people were just blind to the thought that they were on the Warriors this year, and the Warriors stink. Like, not only are they losing basketball games, it looks like it's like a charity, like a charitable thing that like the other team is playing them on that night. It's very rare that like they come out and like step up and it's a hard game. Like everyone is going like half speed, and like I think honestly, like I could probably put up like 7, 5, and 2 in that, and like yeah, I'm getting 5 boards in that game because I'm trying my ass off. Like, I mean, come on, like yes, Glenn Robinson goes on hot streaks. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember I think it was his rookie year or maybe his sophomore year, but there's a Rising Stars game where he just kept taking like Steph Curry-esque shots back and forth.
Nothing counts in that.
Oh, I know. But like, I think people live off the hype of that stuff. They're like, dude, he's like unconscious from 40 feet from the basket. I don't understand why you wouldn't want him. Like, I think Glenn Robinson
shooting from 40 feet.
But like, I mean, I shoot from 40 feet exclusively, but that's just me. I don't know.
Because you can't get close enough to the rim.
Yeah, I know. But like, I wasn't gonna bring that up. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe we'll get like one game where like he gets hot and people are excited about it. I think Burks maybe a little bit more. I mean, he was putting together, inflated stats behind us. Like he was putting together a decent year in Golden State, and I think the people were saying he was in like third or fourth for like the 6th man of the year, which is just the Lou Williams award. So I don't know why they even do it anymore. But yeah, I mean, time will tell with him. I don't know how it'll fit in, but yeah, I'm very glad you brought that up, Shane, because they're on a dumpster fire of a team.
Yeah, they really were. They each did have like a nice player too. Like Alec Burks had a nice feed inside to Horford, which didn't really know that he had with him. There's a nice bounce pass there. Glenn Robinson, he had I feel like it was a jump ball and not a block, but I can't remember. But yeah, he hung with Jesus Christ, who's the Sixer that we traded there? Landry Shamet. He hung with Shamet there, and got a hand up on him. So, also swell. Which, by the way, Landry Shamet, 19 points against the Sixers, really pisses me off.
I agree. That
Fucking
I like
love that
him.
guy.
Yeah, I did not like seeing that stat line in there, and I was hoping it was a lie. But I don't think ESPN's playing the same game you guys are with me, so probably wasn't.
And I mean, that's the shooter we could really use right now. So it just
Yeah, he
hurts way
does
more.
suck on defense though.
That's fair.
What do you guys think of this Clippers team? So while I was listening to some astute analysis that I highly appreciate you guys picking me up here on a night when I was unable to watch the game. They're third in the West right now. I mean, the Lakers are in first, obviously. My Denver Nuggets are in second place, and I mean, there's still time for them to win the conference. They're in third right now, and I go back and forth on them, honestly. Some nights I think they're the best team in basketball. Other nights I feel like they're a piece away from being the best team in basketball, and they did not make any moves at the trade deadline, which I was a little confused with.
If you put the Clippers and the Sixers together, it would be the most dominant roster in the history of time. Like, we have a bunch of length and size and just like awkwardness that doesn't work. And they have like 48 guards. Like, just even like make a fucking team out of each of the benches, and it would probably be a top 6 seed in either conference. It's just weird. Like, I don't get they're phenomenal. They're gonna have they'll do fine in the playoffs. Like, they still have the best player in the world in Kawhi, and they still have Paul George, still have Lou Williams, Landry Shamet. But there's no depth. There's no size. Morris is a punk. Like, I don't know, man. Andrew, what do you feel on him?
Yeah, I feel like they're a team that kind of picks and chooses when they want to kind of take it to the next level, which I mean, I guess with a team like that you can do every once in a while. I mean, I think if they would actually play all their guys every night, they'd be higher, or at least closer to the Lakers. Just because in the sense they kind of rest Kawhi here and there, and other guys have kind of been out on different occasions as well. So I think really on a night where they're fully healthy, I mean, I think they would beat the Lakers in the 7-game series right now, just because I don't think the Lakers can go.
I don't fear either of them.
I don't know.
Like, if we were like fortunate enough to get to the NBA Finals, which we 1,000% will not this year, and either one of those LA teams got in there, like, I don't fear either of them. Like, we're just constructed in a way that we're too deep for the Lakers, and we're just too big for the Clippers. Like, eventually, like, if you truly wanted to be a bully team and use the size that you have, like, the Clippers just can't hang with you physically for 7 games.
Yeah, I agree to a degree. I agree to a degree, just because I would fear them just in the sense of, I don't know, again, a 7-game series when the game just gets elevated. I don't know, for the Clippers' sake, like, I mean, so you put Simmons on one of them, but I feel like George and Kawhi, especially in LA, would just find a way to take over at some point, and especially with how much this team just struggles on the road, I don't know if, without getting home court, if you'd be able to win.
That's a good point. Which
Yeah,
does beg the fucking. Go ahead, Scott.
I think the not fearing them thing is a big part of it. Like, it's weird when in recent memory the best team in the NBA is a team that just everyone's afraid of. You don't want to play the Warriors. You don't want to play the Cavs and LeBron. You don't want to play the Heat when they were dominant. You don't want to play. I was gonna say the
Jordan and the Bulls.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to play the old Knicks. It's like you didn't want to play the old Celtics. Like, there's just teams during eras where you're like, that's the team I don't want to face in the playoffs.
Yeah, and
neither.
Neither of them is like that. I mean, the Bucks are probably the best team in basketball right now. I mean,
Denver's that for me, man. Denver's the team I don't want to play.
Yeah,
and the fucking Pelicans if they sneak in.
I tell you what, though, I mean, right now, if I'm looking at teams I do want to play, I do want to play the Sixers. That's
yeah.
100% a team on the list, which is a scary thing. Because last year we were one of those teams no one wanted to play.
Yeah.
But I think what goes well for the Sixers is I forget who was saying it. I was listening to some talk. I don't know if it was radio or talk show or something. But if the Sixers just find a way to steal one game on the road, you've been so dominant at home. Like you'd be able to take your three home games, and if you just find a way to steal, like say,
Tell that to the Brooklyn Nets last year.
yeah.
I'm not arguing,
Yeah.
but like it's a big ask to be perfect at home and not blow one. So it's just tough.
Yeah, no, I get that, and especially against when you're going up against the Bucks or Raptors, just because they're good teams as well, so they probably find a way to take one. But so I'm not saying you want to bank on it, but I'm just saying like to find a way to. I guess it's just a way to keep hope.
Keep hope, yeah.
Weird the things we have to do to keep hope here. Let's talk about this Embiid and Morris thing for a quick minute here. Fucking hate Marquise Morris or Marquise, whichever one it is. I get it wrong purposely every time.
I hate them
I don't
both.
want to learn their names. Me too. They're both fucking punks. Like nothing makes me feel like more of an old white stiff than saying punks, but they are.
Right?
I hate both of them. They truly do play bully basketball and are just mean people. They both get into fights with the Sixers all the time. But strangely, I think we owe Marcus Morris a thank you for this one because it woke Embiid up and it was kind of what we needed to get us going again.
I don't know. I think Embiid woke himself up when he, circled himself into a corner with his social media use. I think that just kind of took it maybe to the next level, but I don't know, man. They fucking make trouble every single time they're in town. Either of them. Every time they're getting into scuffles. Like, it's just who they are. Like, if you can't prepare for that, like, I don't know what the hell you're watching. I don't know what's going on in team meetings. Like, if teams weren't telling people, like, Joe's going to try to get under your skin every single time, and every time he has the basketball, he's going to do that phantom foul thing and try to, like, swipe his arms up and try to get the call that superstars get. Like, some things you just got to walk in and know. You got to walk in and know that they're fucking punks.
Yeah. And it's never gonna go to an end either. Like the two are gonna go at it all the time, Embiid's got a lot of technicals. I feel like so that's something he's got to watch out for because he can't worry about him getting too much in the sense of getting a suspension eventually. But I think just the way Embiid's last week has gone has kind of woke him up in the sense of everything, and that's the way. I mean, he knows he got booed and stuff, and I think he took that as a joke, and he really helped that elevate his game as well too, just because he knew what had to get done.
Scott. Now his mic really is fucked. I guess we're gonna have to carry this one through.
I guess so.
Oh my god, I can't wait to talk shit on our host. Now that he's defenseless without a mic. Yeah, I don't know, man. So Andrew, I don't know that we ever really talked too much about the Embiid stuff and the way that he Jesus Christ. I gotta stop with the alerts. And now, Scott, you're one of them, by the way, who's texting.
Scott, just gotta throw it away.
Yeah, no, it's all good. No, I turned it off. We're good here. His whole computer reset. That's awesome. Oh my god. He asked us to close the show out, please.
That's fine.
That's so funny. All right. Well, rather than going into to anything else, we've been on it for a bit here. You have any closing thoughts on where we're at with the last taking 3 out of the last 4?
Oh yeah, I'd say it was a very good sign to get the last 3 from where this team was at, and hopefully they can just start carrying it over. That's the only thing I have, and I mean we'll get into it next week after what happens in these next few games, but hopefully with another game in Milwaukee, we get another test there, and you can really see like another prove me game type game. I really want to see them do well in that one. So that'd be my last thing, is just hopefully we get a good battle on Saturday.
Yeah, man, for sure. So I'm going to close this one out for Scott. But Scott and Andrew are both part of the new Philadelphia Phillies show that we are putting together, PTBNL, the podcast to be named later, acronym off of the players to be named later, because we are all members of millions of different other podcasts. It is absurd. Andrew, you do a podcast with one of the other people that do PTBNL with us in Joe Bork. You guys are the True Philadelphians podcast. Why don't you give your Twitter handle? Joe's Twitter handle is JJBork26, and I have no idea if you guys have a True Philadelphians one, but give that too if you have it.
Yeah, so my personal Twitter would be AJ_Santangelo, which is my last name, and then our True Philadelphians Sportcast podcast was TRU_Philly Sport.
Awesome. Scott, our fearless leader and host of all things NBA here, is at SP Novick. He has finally created and given us credentials, Andrew and I, to the TJ is one of us Twitter handle. So it is at TJ is one of us. So we have 3 followers so far, and it very well might be ourselves. I'm not entirely certain, but if you are one of the people that follow us, please share it with everyone that you know. And you could find me. I am at Shane_Mead, and mercifully we will have a more structured show with our host closing us out like normal next time. But as always, go Sixers, just like Scott would say.
A fighting man I used to be, revered and feared through Killarney. Now I'm back to hitching with the wind. But if Mickey Flynn should ever find me, I'll throw me caution all behind me and square off on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me Sunday through and through, and such over my unconscious frame. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky son, still have me life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and lame.